come on your back. And we're going to just take a little time to settle in there. And notice here, if you do have any lower back stuff, you might want to put feet flat if that feels better. Sometimes when we have a little excess curvature in the lower back, it's going to bother us to have legs out straight. So totally up to you. And then just having a sense of letting that back body descend and drop into the ground. Coming into your soft breath in your abdomen. And we're going to continue to stay here working on your breath for a few more moments. So more and more, the research is showing that a lot of the pain that we feel is related to nervous system. Not only the physical structures. So we might have physical structures that are causing, a misalignment in the body. We might pull a muscle, things like that. But it's very interesting because this research is showing that, one person might have the exact same injury and the exact same disc in their back. And one person is in like a massive amount of pain, another person not so much. So it's really very subjective. And so one of the ways that we can start to manage pain outside of the physical issue that's causing it is to shift our awareness. So if there is any pain present in your body, I'd like you to shift your awareness away from that pain and focus on a part of the body that feels good or a part of the body that feels neutral. So shift your awareness and really focus on something that is feeling positive for you right now, or neutral. And of course, that pain would keep asking us to bring our attention back to it. And the more we focus on it, what happens is our brain map associated with that pain is going to increase. Okay? So if we start to focus elsewhere, then we decrease that brain map that's associated with that pain. Not to say it's going to go away, not to say it's all in our heads, not to say that the physical issue is not there, but we can change our relationship to it. So I'm going to ask you to stay for a few more moments. I'll share a brief reading, and then we're going to start with some somatic movement. So your pain, the present discomfort in your body, is nothing to be ashamed of. It is not a sign of your failure, your brokenness, your weakness. It is not a punishment, a test, or even bad luck. It is neither meaningless nor the entire meaning of your life. It does, however, contain great intelligence, if you know where and how to look. Begin to see that there is a world of difference between your physical pain, the moment-by-moment sensations in your physical body happening right now, and your suffering surrounding the pain, your thoughts about your pain, your psychological resistance to it. Ask yourself how much you're actually connecting with your pain today, being mindful of it moment by moment, feeling the raw sensations in your body. And how much are you thinking about your pain, ruminating on it, brooding over it, anticipating, replaying it in your mind? And that could be physical or even emotional pain as well. How much are you present with today's pain? And how much are you thinking about yesterday's pain or lack of pain? Or imagining tomorrow's pain, this evening's pain, or even the pain a moment from now, bracing yourself for impact, as it were. How much are you in your reality? And how much are you in your thought-created fantasies about the pain never going away, or imagining that it will eventually become unbearable, or thinking about all the things you did wrong to cause the pain? That's the suffering. That's the unnecessary part. The fear, the blame, the guilt, the sense of failure and wrongness surrounding the pain. It's about changing our relationship to it. All right. So let's go ahead and take a full body stretch. And try to lengthen your whole body here. We're going to interlace our palms. Press the palms toward the wall behind you. Flex your feet, press through your heels. And then keep your back ribs really planted on the ground, your thigh bones pressing into the ground so that your back body is really anchored. We're not popping those ribs. Hold that for one more full breath. And then let's let those arms relax down at your side. Okay, we're gonna work a lot with this up slip, down slip movement. It's one of the best ones for our lower back stiffness. So we're gonna slide the right leg forward along the ground and then left leg forward along the ground, feeling a little shifting in the lower back. So go side to side and just kind of feel and notice the lower back, sensations you might be feeling there. Maybe you'll feel a little twisting on the sacrum. One side of your waist shortens, one side of your waist lengthens. And just keep going a few more cycles. And when we do this little up slip, down slip, it's creating fluidity in the lower back. It's also working with our parasympathetic nervous system, which is associated with the sacrum and the cranium. So when we focus on the sacrum, it's got a calming effect. And this repetition of the movement has a calming effect, which can kind of quell that feeling of pain when we start to let our nervous system drop down a bit out of its more activated states. So go ahead, do 2 more on each side. And then come to a pause. And just let the body drop in these little pauses. So we take the pauses as a moment to digest the movement that we just did. Now we're going to take our hands behind the back of the head and interlace your hands. Keep your legs out straight. We're going to add a side bend to this up slip, down slip movement. So we're going to slide your upper body toward the right without lifting it as you push through your left leg. So you're crunching toward the right side, lengthening the left, and now reverse. Slide the right leg long, arc your body toward the left, and as you go side to side, you might even start to look at your elbow on that lengthening side. So as I side bend to the left, I might look at my right elbow and reach through that right leg. So go side to side, this little side bending action. Nothing is lifting off the ground. We're just sliding and gliding, which is why we need that blanket. Gives us a little soft surface to move around. You might even start to press your thigh into the ground on that lengthening side, which helps to open the hip flexor on the front of the hip. And that's often a big culprit to lower back pain. When the hip flexor and the psoas muscles are tight and or weak, it's going to affect the tipping of our pelvis and create more lower back tightness potentially. Okay, come back to center, pause. Keep your hands where they are, but we're going to put the feet flat. Okay, so now we're going to do a little knee pushing. You're going to push your right knee forward, then your left knee forward. It creates that same up, slip, down, slip feeling. So go side to side, push through one knee, then the other knee. And sense that twisting on the sacrum. Well, depending on our lifestyle, how many hours we spend being sedentary, this lower back region can get kind of locked up, seized up, and be less mobile, less fluid. So all this work today is to help counterbalance that. Go ahead and pause. Now we're going to do that same thing with the upper body slide. So now we're going to slide the upper body to the right, push through that left knee a little bit, and then reverse. Slide the upper body to the left, push through the right knee a little bit, and go side to side with that little knee push. Maybe you're going to look at your elbow like we did in the last version. And just be really aware of what you're feeling in your body. So try not to check out. Stay present with the sensations. One more on each side. And then we're coming back to the start. Let your arms relax, keep your feet flat. And just let that back body drop into the ground again. And we're gonna do a little bit of core. So when our core is weak, that'll affect our lower back. And particularly the lower abdominal muscles that I'm always talking about, the below your navel muscles, really affect our lower back. So hands behind the back of the head if they're not there. And we're gonna do our arch and curl movement. So we inhale and arch the back away from the ground. Press your diaphragm up, and then you're gonna exhale, curl up. Round your spine, and you're gonna press down into your sacrum. Inhale, come down, spread the elbows, arch the back. Exhale, curl up, round the spine. Keep that going, a few more rounds. And here we alternate between, when we arch the back, we're flexing the spine. And as we round the back, as we round the back, we're flexing the spine. As we arch the back, we're extending the spine. And so by doing these two movements, we can help to repattern where we might be stuck. So some of us react to stress by collapsing. If we round our spine, we lose our core. Some of us react to stress by wanting to fight or flee, and then our back muscles get tighter, and we can get stuck in those stress responses. So doing this is helping us to repattern anywhere we might be stuck. And that's a nervous system response as well. Okay, go ahead and pause. We're going to add the diagonal pattern. So we're going to inhale and arch. Exhale, right elbow, left knee come together. Cross the midline. And then repeat and alternate. Inhale, come down and arch. Remember that step. Exhale, left elbow, right knee. And you're going to keep this going for a few more cycles. So now we're strengthening the sides of those lower abdominals a little bit more into our oblique muscles. And those can be really helpful too if we have lateral back pain. So we'll do a few more cycles. Remember, as you come down, you arch. And as you come across, really try to feel the contracting muscles. One more on each side. And after you finish that next round, let's go ahead, pause, let your legs slide out, and have a brief moment there. we're going to revisit a few times the up slip, down slip. So now slide one leg forward, the other leg forward, and just do a little bit of that side to side movement, loosening up the lower back again. Just a couple more things on our back here, and then we're going to get coming up. We're going to bend those knees again. And bring your knees right over your hips. And we're going to put our hands on the fronts of the kneecaps. Okay, this is going to be a pushing action. But before we do that, I want you to flatten your back into the ground. So find a little bit of a lift to your hip points till you feel your lower back curve is flat now. So we're not arching the back at all. And then we're going to take the hands and push them into the knees into the hands, and press your lower back into the ground. So we feel those lower abdominal muscles engage, and then relax. Okay, couple more like that. You're going to keep the legs where they are. Don't drop the feet. Push and press your lower back into the ground. Feel those abdominal muscles turning on, and then release. One more time, push, push and flatten. Might be a little shaking going on. And then relax. Now you can let your feet come down, take a breath or two. We're going to do a couple different versions of that. So let everything go for a moment. Okay, next one we're going to do, bring those knees back up over the hips. Legs are close together, hands on the kneecaps. This one is going to be a pulling action. So you're going to try and pull your kneecaps towards you, but your legs are going to resist so they don't move, and then you're going to flatten that lower back. So pull on your knees, try to pull your knees away from your hands, and then relax. 2 more times, pull. Pull and flatten the lower back. And release. Notice where else you feel it. Maybe you're going to feel it in your backs of your legs or glutes. One more time. And relax. Let the feet come down. Take a breath or two. Now we're going to make the brain work a little bit. Some of you have done this with me before. So now one hand is going to be pushing, one hand is going to be pulling, and we're going to switch and alternate. Okay? So bring those knees back up, flatten your lower back, place your hands on your knees. Right hand pulls, right hand pushes, left hand pulls. So they're opposing actions, which creates stability in our SI joint, lower back. Hold as long as you can, and then pause, release, and switch. Left hand pushes, right hand pulls. Try to keep your knees in line with each other. Nothing moves. It's very isometric. And then switch every so often. Try to hold it as long as you can. Try not to hold your breath. Switch off when you need to. Press that lower back down. Might be arching. One more time on each side. Okay, let those legs come down, feet flat, take your arms out to a T, and we're gonna windshield wiper the legs from right to left. And then roll all the way over onto one side, and we're gonna come on up. We'll come into a seated posture. And you might want to sit up onto a pillow, folded blanket. You can leave the blanket on your mat for now, because we're going to be doing some belly work too. So we'll come to sit up on something. Sit up nice and tall. All right, let's go ahead and widen out the sit bones. So we want to have them wide. They tend to kind of tuck into each other, and that gives us a little more broader base. It helps open the SI joints a bit. Now, once you feel pretty broad there, take the arms overhead, interlace your palms, and press up. So another thing that causes our back pain is compression. So when our rib cage sinks down, it shortens the side body, and then we have shorter space between our discs. So let's see if we can lift that rib cage off the pelvis, press your palms up, press your sit bones down, get as tall as you can be. Okay, hold it there, and then we're gonna side bend very carefully over to one side. And keep pressing the sit bones down and reaching through your arms. You get a little bit more stretch on the one side. And then inhale, come up, exhale to the other side. So it's not a big movement. See if you can keep your sit bones dropping equally and try not to turn here. We're gonna keep the chest forward, coming back up. And let's take those arms down for a moment and release. Bring your hands behind you, press your fingertips into the ground. Take a little back bend here. We're gonna take the collarbones broad, open the heart space, and lift that heart up. Try to contract your upper back. So we might have talked about this a few weeks ago. When the upper back is stiff, we tend to get pain in lower back and neck. So we're gonna get that upper back more mobile. Slowly release, coming up. Okay, inhale, reach the arms up again. We're gonna side bend over to one side. So side bends really create a little bit of space there where we might have compression. We're gonna go side to side, really fluid movement. And you can now alternate where you place your palm. So sometimes I'll put the palm a little more forward, sometimes a little bit more to the back. And each different position will have a slightly different stretch. So alternate where you place your palms, go side to side a few more cycles. Try to keep those sit bones grounded. One more on each side. And then we're coming up. Okay, let's just switch the legs. And we'll stay here seated a little while longer. Anytime you need to, feel free to stretch your legs out if you have to. And now we're gonna reach that right arm up again. Come into the side bend. This time we're gonna hold it. And we're gonna go in and out. So as you inhale, open up to the back. And as you exhale, roll the shoulder to the front. And just repeat that. You kind of notice where you feel restriction in your back body. And as you continue this, you might notice your range of motion might get a little bigger. You could go a little bit farther into the forward movement pattern as those tissues start to release. And of course, if anything causes pain, you're going to make the movement smaller, or you might need to skip something if there's, a lot of pain in any particular movement. One more time. And then we're going to come all the way up. Pause in the center, and then let's go to the other side. Inhale, reach the arm up, come into your side bend, and then we open and close the side bend. Just keep going a few more cycles, noticing maybe any differences from first side to second side. One more time. And then slowly we're going to come all the way up. Good. And then let's bring the feet out in front of us, hands behind us. windshield wiper side to side. The windshield wipers are nice for the back as well. We do a lot of these in yoga to release after different poses because it brings fluidity into our hip joints. And when there's stiffness in the hip joints, a lot of times our lower back tries to compensate for that and we get lower back pain. Okay, so if you're on that pillow, you might want to take it out because we'll do the figure 4. We did this last week. We're going to cross ankle over knee and pause there. So again, anytime we can get some more mobility in the hips, it's helpful for our back, okay? Press your leg and your shin into each other. Try to lift your chest, open your collarbones up. And we're just going to hold that for about 3 breath cycles. So keep that resistance and feel like you're pulling your knee a little bit toward the right as you press ankle and knee. Good. And then let's release. Okay, if you need to shake your wrists out, go ahead. We're going to go to the other side. Okay, pushing your palms, open your collarbones. Press the leg and shin into each other and draw left knee toward the left. Hold for 3 breaths. Even try to pull down through your tailbone area, your sacrum. Pull it down toward the ground. All right, go ahead, release. Come into bound angle position, soles of the feet together. We're gonna rock side to side. I'm trying to get those sit bones to move apart. And then back to the center. Okay, from here, we're gonna circle it around. So just kind of circle around the torso. Kind of feel a sense of rocking from one sit bone to the other. And then reverse, go the other direction. All right, back to the center. Draw those knees up, and then let's come into tabletop position, all 4s, and you're gonna grab a block. And we're gonna do our cat-cows with the block between the inner thighs. Because that will help strengthen, it helps strengthen the inner thighs, the pelvic floor, and the low belly, which are all support for the lower back, okay? When those areas are weak, you know, that can also affect the lower back. So pause in your tabletop, give the block a good squeeze between your inner thighs. And then let's go ahead and do our cat-cows. So as you inhale, there's a little lift in the chest and the sit bones. And exhale, we round the spine. Keep a good squeeze on the block. And see if you can get some movement into your upper back, like we worked on with our twisting practice a few weeks ago. As you notice here, as you do your cat-cows, there's a lot more movement in your neck and your lower back. And that's where we need to get that mobility in the mid-spine, which will help alleviate some of the stuff going on in the other areas. So let's take 3 more cycles. After your 3rd cycle, take your time. You can go ahead and take your block out and move back to your child's pose. So child's pose is a nice stretch for the lower back. You want to really let your sit bones get heavy toward the ground. You might have arms straight ahead. You might put palms under your forehead. All right, let's go ahead, come back up into tabletop. We're going to take thread the needle posture. We're going to inhale the right arm up and exhale, thread it behind the left and pause there. Before you do anything else, try to get that bottom shoulder a little bit more through. And then lean toward that bottom shoulder a bit. Just lean into it and place your free hand, your left hand, on your right forearm. Drag your right forearm away from you and roll toward that shoulder a bit. Turn your chest open and breathe there. If anything doesn't feel right, feel free to skip it. Sometimes I like to step my left leg out to the side. So that feels good for me. If it doesn't feel stable for you, keep that leg down. But it allows me to roll open a little bit more. And then send your breath into your upper back behind your shoulder blade. So slightly different than we normally do it. Maybe start to turn your head up toward the ceiling. And again, a little bit more into your neck then. Again, if that bothers your neck, don't look up. Okay, slowly release. Come back to the center. And then let's do the other side. So inhale, left arm out, thread it through. Try to get that shoulder through all the way. And then lean a little bit toward that bottom shoulder. Maybe the forearm, hand comes on the forearm. Drag that forearm away toward the palm. Some of you might take that leg out to the side if that feels appropriate. And then keep trying to pull your forearm toward your palm. Lean toward the bottom shoulder, maybe look up toward the ceiling. So it's a big stretch for the back of the shoulder blade, more upper back, trapezius, rhomboid area. Last breath. And then slowly release, come back to center. And we're gonna come all the way down onto the belly now. We're gonna prop up into Sphinx posture. Push in your palms, lift your chest, and press your tailbone down into the ground. That'll help the lower back here. All right, we're gonna add a little neck movement. So we're gonna turn our head to look over our right shoulder. And as you do that, pull your right palm toward the foot and push your left palm forward. And you'll feel a little contraction in your back and then release back to the center. So we're activating these side back muscles kind of below your shoulder blade. Now let's turn your head to the left. Pull the left arm. It's isometric, it's not going anywhere. And push with your right arm. So a little shortening through that left side. And you're gonna go side to side a few times very slowly. Turn your head, pull, push. So you get that side body to contract a bit. And then release, back to start, other side. If it causes any pain, excuse me, go more gentle. You might skip that push-pull. But the idea behind somatic work, which you're doing a lot of today, is we engage and we release a muscle to help it remember how not to be so contracted or how to remember how to turn on if it's forgotten how to work for us. One more on each side. And then we're back to the center and we'll take a pause. Come all the way down, rest, and maybe give your hips a little side to side wiggle. All right, we're gonna prop back up and we're gonna bring our palms together into like a prayer position. And you're gonna be propped on your elbows. And then we're gonna lift the feet off the ground, bending your knees. Bring your palms towards your chest. Try to squeeze your heels in towards your glutes and lift by pressing into your elbows. Pull your belly forward. And then palms down, legs down, head down. Repeat. Bend the elbows, bend the legs, lift up. How far you squeeze here is up to you, depending on the length, strength rather, of your hamstrings. And if they cramp, you might not want to go too far. And then release. So go ahead and repeat that. This strengthens the back. And it also gives a good stretch to the quads, which is a hard area to get at. As we bend those knees, the quads get stretched. Let's try 2 more. You're gonna pull forward in your belly area, like pull your elbows towards your belly. 1 more time. Okay, go ahead and slide it all the way out. Rest, wiggle out those hips a little bit. Slide your hands back by your chest, elbows in, tuck your chin in, tuck your tailbone down, and lift up into a low cobra. Keep the shoulder heads back, chest forward. 2 more rounds, lower down, and lift up. As you lift up, the tailbone goes down. It's like a little lever. One thing goes up, one thing goes down. Last time. Tailbone down, shoulders back, lift up, and release. Come all the way down. Pick your feet up and circle your shins and feet around. So we release the lower back by making some circles. Go the other direction. All right, let those feet come down. We're gonna slide the hands back, press in the tabletop position. We're gonna take the blanket off of our mat. And we don't have a whole lot of time left, but we're gonna do a couple things standing. So let's take a downward facing dog once you get that off your mat. Down dog is a really good exercise for the back if we do it correctly. So it's really helpful to keep a little bend in your knees, because if we round our back, it's not going to feel so good. And then keep the arms firming, shoulders firming. And let's try to tip those sit bones up toward the ceiling as high as they'll go. Come up high on the balls of your feet. And like feel like you're tipping your sit bones up toward the ceiling, and then let your chest and head come down like a waterfall. So that the sit bones are the high point of the pose. And then just shake your head out a little bit. Keep those arms nice and strong. And then we're going to bend our knees and walk our hands back toward our feet. Keep those knees nice and bent to protect your back. And then hands to your thighs or hips. Carefully press yourself up. Good. Then we'll come up to mountain pose. Stand up tall. All right. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, a little bend in those knees, fold over your legs. Stretching the hamstrings, inhale, halfway lift, try not to kink your neck. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. So, excuse me, tight hamstrings can affect our lower back too. So our sun cells are really good for that. Let's do 2 more rounds. Inhale. Exhale, fold, little bend. Halfway lift on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart. 1 more cycle. Meeting at the top. Hands to your heart. Okay, let's step the feet apart a little bit. So you have a little bit wider base. And then take the arms overhead. It's almost like our up slip, down slip, but we're gonna do it standing. Reach through one arm and push the opposite leg, the same leg rather, into the ground. And then other arm. Reach, push that same leg into the ground. Go side to side. So we're lengthening the side body where we get that compression. So a lot of times when we're sitting, our rib cage area is compressed, the tissues get shorter, and over time that becomes a permanent thing unless we do something to change it, which yoga is very good at creating that change in the body. Okay, both arms up, hold your right wrist, lengthen up, root your feet down, pull your tailbone down. We're gonna come into a side bend again. Okay, now really pull the tailbone down, keep the front of the abdomen lifting up to protect your back. Hold it there and let your hips kind of start to drop toward the right a little bit so you make more of a crescent shape and we get more of a stretch through that side body. Anything doesn't feel good, don't do it. Tailbone down and then come up. Okay, let's switch out, hold the other wrist. Inhale up, keep the tailbone down, front of the abdomen lifting, and then side bend without moving the hip yet. Hold it there and then reaffirm the front of the abdomen lifting, tailbone drawing down, then let your hips shift. So be mindful of your knees, keep that micro bend in the knees. Breathe into that side body, 1 more breath. And release, coming up. Bend the knees deeply, fold forward, hook opposite elbows. Keep those knees nice and bent as you send your sit bones higher, and then take a little sway side to side. Switch your arms, opposite arm on the bottom, and continue that sway. And then bring your hands to your legs or your hips, bend those knees a lot, push into your heels, slowly come up, and then pause at the top. Very good. Okay, so we're gonna take triangle pose. If you like blocks for your triangle pose, grab them. Some people prefer putting their hands on the shin, that's fine too. I'm gonna show it with the blocks. We're gonna stand facing the side wall and we're gonna step the feet apart wide, about 3 feet apart. Hands on hips. Pause here. Okay, same thing we just did. I want you to lift the front of the abdomen, pull the tailbone down, and really charge your legs by pushing your feet into the ground. And then take your arms overhead, interlace your hands, press those palms up. As you press your feet down and your sit bones draw down, lift your rib cage up, up, up. And now keep the length and bring your hands back to your hips. Try not to drop into your rib cage. Turn the right leg out to the right. Left toes in a little bit, widen the left heel. Pause there, face your chest back toward the side wall. Now, I'm going to press down into the right big toe mound and try to turn that leg bone a little open. So we're rolling it open toward the pinky toe so the knee doesn't drop in toward the big toe. Hands on hips, chest still facing the side wall. Start to tip your pelvis towards your left foot. And you start to hinge towards your right leg. You're only going to go part way. Pause here. Press down into your feet. Hug your inner thighs towards each other and lengthen your spine again. Can you go any amount farther now into the side bend and start to bring your hand down to your block or your shin? Okay, don't jam your knee though. Keep a little micro bend. Hold here, push down into your feet and pull your tailbone into your body a little bit. Take your top shoulder and roll it back. It's a little bit of a twist. And then maybe that top arm could reach straight up. Okay, if you want to go farther, take your top palm, turn it to the ground and reach it over your ear. And then your back heel, left heel, push it into the ground, engage that leg, and reach through that top arm even more. We're lengthening that side body again. Send your breath into those top ribs, top hip, top shoulder. All right, top hand to the hip, bend your bottom knee and slowly come up. Parallel your feet and pause in the center position. Okay. Take a moment there. Find that neutral pelvis by lifting the front, lengthening the back. And then we'll take the arms up again, starting the same way. Interlace your palms and press up. Legs and feet root down, charge the legs and lift up through your rib cage without popping your ribs. So your back muscles get tight, you're popping your ribs. And then keep the length, hands to the hips. Turn your left leg out, right toes in, widen the right heel. Okay, face your chest toward the side wall again. Press through the front big toe mound. And start to tip your pelvis toward the right. Pause there, try not to jam your knees. So there's a little micro bend. And then charge those legs down and inner thighs in, tailbone in. Maybe you can go a little farther now. And eventually that hand comes to the block or your shin. Try to have it directly under your shoulder. Okay, we'll pause there. And again, press down through your legs. Roll your top shoulder back. Maybe you take your head back a little bit. You should feel like the weight is in your heels. And then maybe that top arm reaches up. Get really wide, reach that arm up high, then come into the side bend by reaching your arm over your ear if you want. Palm faces down. And the back leg, we want to push into that heel, engage the leg so we can reach more on that top arm. Send your breath into the top ribs, top shoulder, top hip. All right, top hand back to the hip, bend that knee, and slowly come back up. Parallel your feet. Staying here for a wide leg forward fold. Option to have your blocks in front of you if it's hard to reach the floor. First, stand with your feet parallel. So don't turn the toes out here. Root down into your legs. We're going to find that same position with the arms overhead. So interlace your palms, pull your tailbone, sit bones down, reach up nice and tall. Keep that length, bring your hands to your hips. Bend the knees a little bit, hinge at your hips, and fold forward. See if you can bring your hands to the floor in front of you. Keep those knees a little bent, and pause. Now in this halfway up shape, arms are straight, back of skull's in line with the rest of your spine. See if you can send your inner thighs, pelvic floor back, and the crown of the head forward to lengthen your spine. If you want to go farther, you can start to fold forward but do so by tipping your sit bones up, keeping that nice straight line in your spine, and then maybe walk your hands closer towards your feet, folding forward, keeping those legs bent, especially if you've got stuff in the lower back. If you feel pretty good here, you can start to straighten your legs by pulling the sit bones up, not pressing the knees back. Hold it there, one more breath. Good. And then walk your hands back out underneath your shoulders. Heel toe your feet a little closer. And then bring hands to hips. Use your legs, push in your feet. Come up with a straight spine and pause. Very good. Okay, guys, we're going to come back down onto our backs. We're almost out of time. You might want a pillow for your head. We're going to just do a couple more things before Shavasana. So have anything nearby that you want for your Shavasana. And we're going to come down with our legs out, like we did in the beginning. And we're going to do our little up, slip, down, slip of the hips again. Slide right leg forward, left leg forward, loosen up that lower back again. After all our standing work. Okay, pause and bend your knees and just scoot your tailbone a little forward and then take your legs back out. So we have a nice length to the lower back. Have the arms at your side. We're going to pick the right leg off the ground. And just feel what it's like to lift that leg and then lower it. Lift it again. And now take it over to the left. See if you could tap the floor, bring your leg all the way over into a twist, tap the toe to the floor, you get a little stretch in the back body, outer hip, and now lift that leg slowly. Notice how the outer hip has to engage, and then bring that leg back down to the ground. Okay, we're gonna repeat that. Lift the leg, cross it over the left, try to tap the floor. Feel what's stretching. And then lift the leg back up, go slow. Notice the outer leg engaging and bring that leg back down. Okay, we're going to add on an arm movement. Lift the leg, cross it over, bring it to the floor, tap the floor with your toe. And now take your right arm, sweep it over your head so it's arm in line with the ear and roll towards your left side. And now sweep that arm back overhead, all the way back, lift the leg, bring the leg back very slowly. Try not to use momentum. So I want you to be really aware of the whole movement going slowly. 2 more rounds. Lift the leg, cross it over, right arm. The fingers are going to graze the floor if you can. Roll over toward your side. Maybe each time you roll a little farther, roll it back. Leg comes back last. Good. One more time. Lift the leg. Cross it over, add the arm. That leg could bend if you needed to. And then we're back. Take a pause, right in the center. Okay, let's do that on the other side. Lift the left leg and lower it. Use control. Lift that leg. Now take it over, tap the floor. No arm, first couple rounds. Bring it back. So on your own, let's do 2 more, just the leg. Notice any differences from first side to second side. And after you do 3, you can start adding in your arm movement. And we'll do 3 rounds with the arm. Sweeping that arm up and over your head. Try not to check out. Stay mindful. Last one. So we loosen up those tight areas. Come back to the center. After this next one, pause. Legs out. We're going to bring the knees into the chest. Try to scoot your tailbone a little forward. So we're lengthening the lower body there, and circle your knees around. And let's go the other direction. Back to center, hold behind the backs of your knees. Knees drop apart toward the outer rib cage. And then send the feet up toward the ceiling like happy baby. Shins are perpendicular to the ground. And then circle again around on the lower back. So it's like happy baby, but with a circle around the lower back. And reverse, go the other way. Okay, back to center, hug in one more time. And then you can go ahead, find your Shavasana, grab anything that you need. We're just gonna end a few minutes late. You realize what time it was? Not too late, just maybe 3 or 4 minutes. So finding your Shavasana, and just let that whole back body settle into the ground. Notice any changes from when you first arrived on your mat. I'm starting to just let go of any remaining pain, discomfort, tenderness. And just like we did in the beginning, if there's an area that feels like it's a little painful, can you shift your awareness to something that feels good or feels neutral? Sometimes that's the awareness of the breath flowing in and out of your belly, taking that focus off of the pain. With every exhale, feeling a little more softening. As if layer by layer by layer, you start to release into the ground. Back body heavy, front body light and open. Release any pain into the ground, as if the earth could just absorb it. taking away any pain. I'm going to share a little bit more from our reading. Pain is often the body's call for attention. It is not a sign that you as a person are broken. Here's an invitation to begin to accept your pain as it is. Now let's be clear about this. Acceptance does not mean necessarily liking your pain, just aligning with the fact that it is here today. It doesn't mean giving up on the possibility that the pain will lessen or even disappear tomorrow, next week, next year. It doesn't mean you won't find a cure for the pain eventually. It just means that your peace is no longer dependent on whether or not this happens. You are reclaiming your happiness today, no matter what the future brings. So I'm going to take a couple more minutes to let go and rest. All right, so we'll start to return now. Take a couple moments to notice how you feel. And gradually let your breath get a little deeper, bringing in those smaller movements. Keep it subtle at first. You can gradually make those movements a little bigger. And in your own time, take whatever movement you need before coming over onto your side for a brief pause. All right, so take your time. We'll go ahead, come on up, finding a comfortable seat. Sitting up as tall as you can once again. And we'll bring our hands together in front of the heart space. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, bow your head down. And thank you so much, everyone. Namaste.